Hello, I'm Robert Donahue from the Environmental Learning Research Centre at Rhodes University. And in our handprint care work, we asked the question, how did past human activities and climate shape the agroecological cultures of Southern Africa? And through this work, we've developed fascinating insights into the sustainability of early agroecological cultures and as these impact on the world that we live in today. For a start, what we learned is that centuries of land taming created the sustainable landscapes of Southern Africa. Over centuries of shifting agriculture and migration, early indigenous dynastic groups slowly transformed the habitats of Central and Southern Africa into living cultural landscapes. Within the tropics, successive dynastic groups read the movement of the sun to reliably predict the seasonal cycles. And we are particularly interested in the Bokoni in the south, where there's plenty of evidence of all of the cultures of Central and Southern Africa being able to track the seasonal movement of the sun and being able to predict the beginnings of summer rains. Of course, this decreased the further south that they went. These practices also expanded the grasslands for cattle and wild game and successively managed climate extremes and the control of many diseases. Coming to understand an early ethic of land care can develop a sense of admiration for the indigenous heritage practices of early generations, and these modules provide starting points for exploring how the indigenous African heritage still speaks to the sustainability challenges that we all face today. Now, if we take a curriculum topic like climate and seasonal cycles, the concern here is for climate change and extreme events. Now, we know from the archaeological record and from the cultural practices of the past that south of the Zambezi, the early indigenous people began to live in a region where they had to adapt to greater uncertainty. Here, the climatic conditions are more variable because of the interaction of three climatic systems: the intertropical convergence zone that they knew well from the north and could reliably read, the Southern Indian Ocean system, and the Southern Ocean, where seasonal variability is influenced by the El Niño-La Niña oscillation in the Pacific that scientists only discovered a few decades ago. Today, we're having to adapt to higher temperatures, drought, and extreme events developing because of human-induced climate change on a global scale. And if we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, climate is one of the most important areas that cuts across all of the other concerns that we have. Favorable climatic conditions are declining because of climate change, and the habitats are becoming hotter with droughts and more extreme events. So in this module on heritage food gardening and climate change, what we've done is we've looked at how the landscape changing was able to allow us to ask the question, how did human activities and climate shape the early agroecological landscapes of Southern Africa? Then, how were they able to predict rain? How did they learn to live in these areas of high climate variability? Mitigating diseases. How did the land taming and seasonal migration develop side by side as sustainability practices? And finally, sustainable food. How can we learn from the past to prepare for climate migrations and food production in Southern Africa today? So all of these questions are explored alongside the heritage and the practical activities that we can take into beginning to deal with some of the sustainability challenges that we face today.